Hi, everybody. This is Dave Levine with Trickle Research. Today we have Brett Moyer. Brett is the CEO of Summit Wireless. We've covered Summit for, a little over 2 years now. It's been one of those stories that in some ways I sort of feel like it's a little bit of a typical microcap in the sense that, I'm not sure that the valuation has sort of fit what's happening with the company. I mean, I know that things have not gone maybe as quickly as we'd all had wished, but that's sort of a common trait of small emerging companies as well. And I keep harping on the company because I really believe that they've made some far better strides than what the valuation implies. And I just think really a lot of progress that maybe it hasn't all translated into revenues just yet, but I really remain bullish on the things that they're doing. And so, I just thought today it might be a good idea to get Brett on the phone and have him go through a few of the things that kind of we're seeing and maybe some things that may highlight 2021 and why that might be a breakout year in some ways. So that's our purpose today. So, Brett, I guess maybe I'll just start by saying, I don't know how much you're kind of limited in what you can talk about in terms of sort of how the balance of the year went with respect to, sell through and some of those kinds of things, but certainly a couple of really good initiatives that you introduced in the second half of the year that I think if they weren't impactful for this second half of 2020, are certainly going to be impactful for 2021. And then a new initiative, obviously, that you announced today that we'll talk about a little bit too. But so maybe you can just kind of give us a sense of how the second half went and kind of your sense of COVID and all those things, I guess.
So thanks, Dave, by the way, for inviting me and supporting the company. Let's start on a macro level about COVID. As I talked about back in March on the year-end call and subsequent calls, it is impacting positively home theater sales, right? So people are done fixing their houses. They're done buying their gym equipment. They're done buying their rice and beans and stocking up toilet paper. They went outside for the summer, and now they're all back sequestered again and locked down. And not that everybody watches it, but you could see a number of high-profile consumer electronic products stocking out. We saw some of our own customers stock out, like clips. I noticed along the way that Sonos on their soundbar for the Arc was stocked out in December. At Best Buy, I don't know if it's true entirely, but there was quite a few shortages, and you can see that impacting production schedules and demand coming in from Asia for production, right? From a perspective of our two initiatives, I assume you're talking about the launch of SoundSend and the launch of the WISA Wave.
Correct.
Yeah, I think so. I will say those are both huge leverage opportunities. So if we look at SoundSend first, we got 200 in and they're gone. We got another 200 in on January 4th. So we are seeing both strong demand worldwide. We're seeing the message around SoundSend picking up a lot of press. So for example, today, Twice magazine, which is really the big CE magazine for CES, they had 2 different articles on SoundSend in their CES launch magazine today. All right, so it's resonating with the press and it's resonating with consumers and it's resonating with existing WISA speaker owners. So for example, a great example is Clips. They had their own hub on their first generation product, which is about 4 or 5 years old. We have had numerous calls and orders from Clips and B&O speaker owners looking for an update because one of the features of Atmos, besides universality of plugging into any smart TV, is it has Dolby Atmos. And even if you don't have Dolby Atmos speakers with upfiring, it does, SoundSend has virtual Dolby Atmos, and you can tell the difference when you switch to movies and then movies to virtualization. So we're seeing SoundSend driving a lot of short-term change, but I think long-term it'll still impact speaker sales to the upside. So brands like Clips that could only sell to around LG TVs can now sell their speakers around everybody. Other brands that are out selling around expensive AV receivers can now sell around a simple 159, 149, 179 SoundSend. So we think that'll, I mean, it had a small impact on revenue in Q4, obviously, because we shipped a few, but we think that drives both speaker design starts as well as speaker sales. And we feel very good about it. From a WISA wave perspective, so this is one that will continue to evolve every quarter. We will have a discussion about it next week with the market, but we did guide that, you know, we saw 100,000 visitors in Q3 to the WISA site. We did guide that would be 150 to 175 in Q4. We will true up for investors where we landed and what we did with WISA, but we find it effective, right? We're finding it effective to reach out to consumers and educate them on WISA, tag them in the WISA organization, both in Google and Facebook, and remarket back to them. So, and remarketing means you're buying ads to somebody that's already visited WISA, that probably spent a minute, maybe more, on WISA's website, on average 2 to 3 pages, right? So we're able to offer through the WISA Wave to brands that are shipping products the opportunity to market directly to somebody that knows something about WISA, and somebody that came to WISA because they responded to some home theater type ad that WISA ran. So we think that'll deliver big value to our brands. I think there's probably a quarter, 2 or 3 till they realize the impact of what they can do with us, but it's highly effective, I think, or will be.
Well, you know, I think it's my perspective on those two initiatives is a little bit, sort of encompasses a little bit where we've been, I think, and maybe from my sense of maybe some of the slower adoption has been, you know, I think when I first started covering the company, I think I was really excited about it because I'd seen the product and heard the product, and I thought, you know, this is really transformative, and it never really dawned on me how hard it would be to get that into the marketplace. And I really sort of felt like a lot of your initial customers, especially the quality of your initial customers, would kind of drive some of that. But it's become clear that you know, that's something that you guys, from a management perspective, are going to have to get in the middle of, really seeding that adoption or you know, helping that adoption along. And you know, I think you guys have been really proactive in terms of developing now both the product and then just sort of that marketing approach to kind of help drive that. And I think, you know, I think it's telling for you guys as a management team, in my view, that you didn't sit around and go, well, we just hope things are going to change and get better. You actually did something pretty proactive that I think it looks to me like it's going to be impactful. So.
Well, I appreciate the comments, but that is exactly what we did. And we started this about a year ago with SoundSend. And, you know, we did offer it to one of our speaker companies. It says, hey, we got 2 different ODMs doing 2 prototypes. Do you want to take it out? And in the end, we decided no, it was too hard working through, it was too critical of a mission to get a universal transmitter out there that'll be available worldwide, that we did not want to depend on another company's execution. So it's all within our control. You know, we're happy to let any brand OEM that sound send and brand it themselves as their transmitter. But we want to make sure there is a universal connector both to the source device through HDMI and through to all WISA speakers.
Well, that certainly has to, I would think that's certainly, have you, I'm sure you've experienced the, that may be impacting other SKUs of WISA ready speakers.
I think it'll, oh, in terms of, well, actually, like you're talking about the Axum Link with.
Well, I'm just saying that it seems to me that SoundSend is going to provide some, will probably lead to some speaker manufacturers maybe adopting WISA ready.
100%.
Otherwise.
100%. It'll impact design starts.
Yeah.
As well as extension in their product lines, number one. Number two, what's very interesting is if you look at, not that investors can see that and it's not material financially yet, but I will say that launching SoundSend as a universal connector increased the sales of the Axum Link associated products. So even though consumers could buy a, say a Platin Monaco with a universal connector for that $100 savings and the USB architecture and the WISA ready features of with LG TVs, it increased those sales. So I think it's a product that floats all, that creates a rising tide and floats all boats.
Right. Yeah. So, and that I think is kind of an interesting maybe segue into, and maybe as an extension of that thought, the product you announced today. I mean, can you kind of couch that a little bit and give people a little bit of a more practical sense of where Discovery fits in some of this?
Yeah. So people that have tracked us have heard us talk about G2 or Gen 2 or IP software. And this is the first form of that being publicly launched, right? It is targeted exactly where we said it would be targeted, with one of the markets, in that the current generation product is wicked high performance, right? Which we've said from day one. Now, usually when you see a market get created, there is the best, and you can see there's a lot of companies historically that have brought out the best and never moved to mass market and good enough because they were too proud of their best. So I've had to work hard with the team to say, look, it's great we have these, 70 brands or more supporting us at the high end, but really consumers deserve to have, all consumers deserve a chance to get to spatial sound and separated speakers away from the TV or the soundbar. And there's a lot more volume as you crawl down the ladder. So what the current generation is an 8-channel, 5 milliseconds of latency, et cetera, right? 24 bits. Well, you're only going to get so cheap on that module because of the architecture and the custom chips. This IP loaded onto an IoT module for Wi-Fi is going to be dramatically cheaper. Now, it only supports 4 channels. So it is actually targeted for the soundbar. So the soundbar that wants a wireless sub, the soundbar that wants wireless rears. So it has 4 channels, and that would be 3. So that lets you get into a lower price system from compared to, say an Enclave or a Platin $1,000 system or $800 system. So you can see this going into sound bars that are selling for $299, not $199. With little rears or little subs, maybe it's $399. So it's a much bigger market. It's something that can also be integrated into the TVs as the TVs start to evaluate the benefits of wireless speakers versus soundbars or their internal speakers. But that's where this first product is targeted to. Over the next couple of years, there'll be more products that come out. We still think the high fidelity transmission out of the cell phone is a viable market for commercialization. We think the TV is as well. So, and the PCs, there's a lot of content. There's really a lot of multi-channel content coming from all these smart devices. So our objective is, depending on what your price point is, to give you the best wireless solution for your price point that you can afford as a consumer.
What does the form factor look like?
Itty bitty.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, size of a quarter. We showed the form factor at CES last year. So, first joint on your thumb.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's small.
That's an interesting question, and this is a little bit bigger picture. But so how does I'm curious how CES gets how all that what CES 2021 looks like, because that's coming, right? And it doesn't seem quite right to me, but I guess nothing really does these days. But I'm kind of interested how that's going to work.
I don't want to get any bad quotes about CES, but look, so as primarily a component driver of technology, CES was a valuable place to meet a lot of customers that are dispersed across Asia, Europe, and North America, both from the brand side, the ODM side, the engineering, and the marketing side, all in 1 week. This virtual stuff for us, if we want to talk to somebody from Harman, we're going to pick up and call, or vice versa, right? So I don't have great expectations on CES. We are prepared. We've done a lot of content creation for it. It's up. It'll be, it may work out because it's more consumer focused. So in that sense, given us a chance to market all the WISA existing products to consumers, but I have yet to understand how this CTA organization is going to drive consumers to CES sites.
Right.
So, whereas it normally would cost me $100 grand, yeah, I don't think we probably spent 10 grand creating content and getting up and going on CES. We'll reuse the content, so I'm okay with that, and so we'll see how it plays out. Ask me in a month.
Okay. Well, I suppose so. So maybe is there going to be some sort of way for maybe more consumers to participate in CES now? Because
It's supposed to be.
Before you couldn't just walk through the door, so
You couldn't. And so it is supposed to be. I don't know how many they got signed up. I don't know whether consumers will actually use it. We created the content so that consumers could see, Bang & Olufsen or Platin or Enclave, name the guys that are shipping products, but it's a big unknown. We'll see whether they drive it or not. I mean, if they are effective at driving consumers there, this then it makes CES even more powerful for us, because when it happens next year face to face, we can do all the B2B stuff,
right,
but also market B2C on behalf of our brand, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was sort of my thought, is that maybe on some levels, if it's more accessible to the public, I mean, there are certainly companies, and you might be one of them, that might benefit more from that than just the typical CES format, I suppose. I guess it depends on what consumers are going to come or not.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know how many consumers are going to bring into it.
So let me ask you, one more thing on the association side. Sounds like you continue to increase association membership, and I'm wondering if you have any sense of how people can look at association membership and try to maybe tie that into, adoption and additional SKUs or additional customers on your end. I mean, I know that's a little bit conceptual, but I've always sort of felt like, the increase in membership or the robustness of the association would somehow end up being an extension of your success.
It is. It's a leading indicator, right? So usually somebody joins WISA and we generally require it before we help support a design effort. But they certainly could join either for their own marketing reasons or for research and awareness as they make their decisions. But if somebody's joined WISA, you're probably 12 months out before they ship a product. Now, somebody could join and it's not announced because they want to keep it quiet for a specific reason. So you've seen a few times where we've not only announced membership, but turned around and announced product certification pretty close. Right? But the news flow is membership, product certification, which occurs right at, mass production. And then at that point, we're starting to ship. And then the product launch depends on the cycle. So what we have seen with CES being virtual is that sense of urgency to talk about your 2021 product line in December, to have meetings in January. It's all dissipated. So the big product rush announcements that usually occurs from 12/15 to January 10th, I think will be dispersed out through April, May.
So, and I guess along the same lines, how important it seems important to me, and again, trying to quantify some of this, I guess, is the trick, but how important is Hisense to all this?
Well, Hisense is the 5th largest TV maker in the world. We're extremely excited about what they are doing. There will be press about them, but you can publicly see the first step by going out to Electronic Express and typing WISA, and you will see Electronic Express has created bundles with 4K TVs and Monaco and SoundSend. So Hisense TVs, both 43, 55, and 275 inch with the Platin Monaco bundled with it, starting at $999. So $100 above list price for Monaco.
Wow.
You can get a 75 inch for $14.99 with a complete surround sound system. So we're excited because they are worldwide a big brand. They are a volume brand in the US. We look forward to future products announcements.
Well, Brett, that's kind of what I wanted to cover. I mean, I was going to try to keep this to about 30 minutes. I mean, if we're not careful, this could go on for a long time, which would slowly become more and more ineffective as we went on. But, I'm just going to reiterate. I mean, I've hung in here from a research perspective because I really do believe that you have something that has the potential to arrest a meaningful portion of the audio, the home audio business, whether that's a sound bar or home theater, and maybe in the end there's not going to be there's going to be a meshing and not much difference between the two. But I just feel like what you have is going to be a part of that, and that you guys have done a lot of things to kind of keep pushing that rock. And I know sometimes it's hard to gauge the progress beyond numbers, which is what we all feel like we need to see. But I still feel like it's been compelling, and you're moving in the right direction. And I think so.
I'll give you some summary information that, to your point. So the stock price got hit hard on the LG launch delay, right? Like brutally hard. But if you look at the execution away from the stock price and away from COVID, when we IPO'd, we had just over 30 brands. Now, I would guess probably 5 or 6 of those brands don't even count anymore. But we're over 70 now. So member brands has more than doubled, right? If you look at the time we were IPO, I would say there's probably 6 brands in the market. There were 6 brands in the market. We're well over 30 now and headed to, I'm sorry, we're well over 20, we're over 20 now and we're headed to 30, right? So, it was a hard rock to push, but there's a lot of little pebbles in the stream now. So we're looking for a great 2021.
Well, Brett, I appreciate it. I appreciate you spending a little time here. And what I'd like to do is maybe after CES is over, we'll kind of assess that and come back and do this again and kick around whether it was helpful or not. But I say I look forward to 2021. I think the story just gets better from here. And so like I say, if we can have you come back and maybe try this again, we'll just kind of update it and kind of
Sure.
go forward.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
Great. Appreciate it, Brett.
Bye.